Grim Map is one of the biggest and most impressive extensions to the Exiled Lands. With over 13,000 users, this mod has tons to offer, but also lots of things you can miss. I sat down with LtScarro, friend of the channel and developer of this mod, to look at everything Grim Map offers. So, let's take a look ourselves. Firstly, Grim Map is available through the Steam Workshop. Furthermore, the source files are now also available through Scarro's modding Discord, so it can be modified or built upon by other modders. The map also has no native build blockers, but due to how the northeast is configured, you will need less building placement restrictions, or build anywhere toggled on to build in the expanded area. Now, let's look at the enormous amount of content that Grim Map has. To say this mod is just an extension is not exactly correct. It's both an extension and a partial overhaul. With that in mind, it seems only right to start our journey with Grim Map in the Southern Desert. This area is usually devoid of life and basically just a transitional area, but no longer. The Southern Desert has been made more livable with resources, monsters, camps, and even a hidden underground area. Star metal also falls in the Southern Desert now, and you'll find a Zwagir camp at an oasis, though don't expect this to be an easy life. Surviving in the Southern Desert is still tough, and of course exploration is dangerous, but if you've ever wanted to live here, you can. With Grim Map you will also have the option to spawn near Sepameru, which itself has had a bit of an overhaul. It now has more distinct districts with different buildings and designs, making the city a bit more grand and interesting. North of Sepameru, the Crown's Grove has been completely overhauled and is now a steppe biome with roaming bison and Hyrcanians. I actually really love this redesign of the biome. Transforming it into a steppe is a genius move that makes the area really attractive. Up to the frozen north, this area has also seen a few adjustments. The western centre valley now has an incredibly dense forest, riddled with wolves, and also a boss direwolf lurking between the trees. Additionally, you will now find an enormous cave passage between the valleys, making traversal a little easier without having to climb up and then carefully descend the mountains. You'll also find some scattered villages and camps, like this one near Icespire Chasm. The frozen north also connects to the new areas in the northeast, and the curse wall has been moved, but we'll return to that later. The Highlands has had new huts added around New Azagarth, and of course new caves scattered around too. Furthermore, the aqueduct has been broken even more, creating a lake in the Northern Highlands which completely changes the area and makes it quite a bit more interesting. You'll also find the ward towers in the west are now open, and of course a small Easter egg on Telis Island, the classic sword in the stone. Over in the east you'll find a lot of new things in the swamp and jungle. The passage has had loads of luminous mushrooms added, but also a new side cave that leads to the new northeastern lands, but again we'll get there in a bit. West of Buccaneer Bay you'll find a new Antillan camp at a Zotli temple. Following the cave path here leads you to an Antillan Island dungeon, a very Mayan/Aztec construct with super tough enemies and a giant shark roaming the waters. Tackle this dungeon, clear the villages, slay the Antillan chief and claim the loot and the Antillan key. Scarro mentioned that apparently people have trouble escaping this dungeon as it can be quite confusing, so when you have the key you'll scale down this mountain near the second village and into the final loot room before taking the portal back to the coast north of Buccaneer Bay. With all the adjustments to the base map covered, it's time to get into the actual extension itself, which is split into a few different biomes. Those are the Northern Jungle, the Highlands Extension, the Redwoods, the Frozen North Extension, and the Ocean. The Northern Jungle area is crowned by a large beach and the mountains are riddled with caves. This biome has tons of nice and easy building space and loads of secrets tucked away too. One of my favourites is Echo Chasm, which is fairly simple, but also has a cavern tucked away at the top that's really easy to miss, and it leads into Thog's Descent, a small forest in a deep valley that Scarro mentioned was based off of a similar place in China. You'll also find other places here like the coal mine, which looks tiny until you remove the rear rock and open the mine up even further. There's the Crystal Cavern, Bellets Falls and plenty more. Past the jungle is the Highlands Extension, which is a sort of dense, dark forest packed with enemies, including some Siptar mobs, but also tons of resources ripe for harvesting. On the northern side near the coast you'll again find tons of caves, including a passage leading to a huge underground lake and a winding path that links back to the new cave within the passage dungeon. Towards the border you'll also find connections to the Vanilla Highlands and some more mountainous regions, including the gargantuan Maiden's Rest Mountain, which includes the stone crown with a world boss atop it and a mini circle inspired by Stonehenge. My favourite part in this biome is Zalthar's Respite, a small lake and island built in the spirit of a smaller version of Teleth's Isle, named after my own videos about Zalthar, which is pretty cool. Also check behind all the waterfalls in this mod, you never know when you will find yet another cave. The Redwoods biome is very Siptar inspired. It's a dense and moody place packed with trees and mobs you'll recognise from the Isle of Siptar. The biome has various level changes and winding riverways, one of which leads to Mitra's Tears, an enormous waterfall looking over the coast. This piece of rock jutting from it may look enticing too, but free advice, do not jump off. The Redwoods also have a large Pictish camp called Panther's Rest, a multi-leveled settlement where you'll have to fight through various Pictish warriors and the extremely strong chief to claim their loot. The Redwoods also holds a little secret, but we'll come back to that. The Frozen North extension is a very naturalised building out of the existing Frozen North, accessed over the mountains or by a winding path that connects the existing path east of Icespire Chasm. This biome offers more of the North's scarce resources, alongside various camps and settlements including Freya's Landing, which offers some great thralls, and a guaranteed spawn of Helga, which is the new thrallable version of Freya. This biome has mammoths and ice giants, but is also one of the best renditions of a frozen biome that I've seen. It's beautifully made, feels incredibly cold, and it's got a ton of great building spots. There are plenty of caves and other points of interest too, and some interesting landmarks like a giant statue of Ymir and hot springs around the biome to mitigate the cold temperatures. It's bordered on the north by vast mountains, and on the east by our final overland location, the ocean. The inland ocean is huge, linking back to the waters east of Buccaneer Bay, containing tons of space for building and a few islands, each of which is pretty cool in their own right. The first is Vinland, a frozen isle surrounded by ice, ideal for a huge fortress. The second is Rydian's Recluse, a redwood isle with some nice structuring that is also the home to a Krilyandian beast from Siptar. The third is Moon's Embrace, just a really nice unique island in the shape of a crescent moon with a little lake and waterfall. It's a super picturesque place. The fourth is Spider Cove, and this may be spoilers, there's no spiders here. Why is it called Spider Cove? Well, LtScarro said that it kinda looks like a spider. Another nicely made island with a hole in the centre that allows you to drop into an underwater cave. The fifth and final islands are a set of scattered lands named Dagon's Archipelago, which would make for a nice set of separate builds or could all be linked together. The ocean also has a couple of these towering rock formations that you can build on too. So that's it. Grim map in its entirety, right? Believe it or not, no, we've actually left the most interesting things to last. Firstly, let's talk tunnels, specifically the Ghoul Tunnels. There are multiple entrances all over the map. The one that I found was a bit east of Freya's Landing, tucked away right here. The Ghoul Tunnels are cramped, uncomfortable passageways in the earth, but also serve as pseudo fast travel. You can go through the tunnels and, if you work out where you're going, skip potentially 10 or 20 minutes of travelling on foot. It's a really unique way to handle fast travel that doesn't involve sorcery or teleporters. Secondly, the Underdark. There are multiple entrances for this place too, but the easiest one is just southwest of Death Whisper Ruins. The Underdark seems pretty tiny at first, a small series of winding passageways leading to a couple of different caves, but if you look closely, it's almost never ending. Each cave seems to lead to another, with plenty of unique building spots, but also complex caverns, lava, water, crystals, and more. Everywhere you look leads somewhere new, and everything interconnects. This video honestly can't do justice to the Underdark. It is enormous and incredibly confusing at first, but also probably one of the most unique places in the entire mod. It's huge, winding, claustrophobic at times, and needs to be experienced firsthand. Lastly, and possibly the easiest missed, is the Wylds. Remember Mitra's Tears, the waterfall in the Redwoods? Head up there, and just to the right you'll spot a small cavern. Head in and you'll be taken to one of the most mystical biomes I've ever seen, a place based on the Wylds, cloaked in fog and lit by pulsing mushrooms. Explore this area and you'll find another passageway leading to an even bigger section of the biome. Squeeze through this tight valley and you'll find the final and largest section of the Wylds. This area is fantastic, but LtScarro said it gets missed a lot because it's so well hidden. It also has an admin staging area for functional server buildings and events too. The Wylds is one of the most impressive areas in the entirety of GrimMap and simply cannot be missed. And that, my friends, is GrimMap. This mod is hugely ambitious and it just delivers over and over again. It's incredibly popular, and because it's open source you can find other versions of this map on the workshop, but also probably on private servers running this mod too. We've gone through a lot of detail here, but to be honest this video hasn't even begun to cover all the secrets, easter eggs, tucked away caverns and small camps that LtScarro has included, but of course that's for you to find. If you're on PC and you haven't already, give GrimMap a go. It's one of the most impressive and frankly natural feeling extensions to the Exiled Lands, augmenting the vanilla map whilst also adding an incredibly well made and huge extension in the northeast. Of course, that's not to mention all the hidden spaces that really add an extra layer of intrigue and design onto what is already an impressive mod. Again, you can find GrimMap on the Steam Workshop, and if you like map mods, I would highly recommend you give it a try. LtScarro has been a friend of the channel for a while, yet I just hadn't given GrimMap a go until yet, but it's a seriously impressive accomplishment, and it's no wonder it's seen such praise. Anyway, that will wrap us up for this rather long showcase of the GrimMap expansion. Thanks for watching, and a massive thanks to our wonderful esteemed coffee cultist for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. If you want to support the channel yourself, check out the Patreon through the link in the description, or join as a member here on YouTube by clicking join just below this video. Take care, and I'll see you soon.